Hello guys and welcome back to the With a Minute to Go podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you do enjoy it, and smash that notification bell so you do not miss a thing. As ever, you can find us on Spotify by typing in With a Minute to Go, or by clicking the link via our social medias on Instagram and Twitter at WAMTGPOD. This week, it's a pleasure to introduce to you the With a Minute to Go pod Premmy Awards. So we'll be looking at the best players, managers and teams in this season's Premier League. The panel of judges for each category are myself, Matt, and we're joined again by Lewis. Matt, you looking forward to this?
Yeah, I think there's some good categories. Looking forward to putting forward my selections.
And again, Lewis, nice to have you on, mate.
Yep, good to be back 3 weeks in a row, so you must like having me on. So yeah, no, it'd be good.
We do. Well, we've enjoyed the last few, so always a pleasure. So we'll have the best of three wells this evening to decide each category. Matt sees the things on the coaching side, Lewis sees things on the journalism side, and obviously I'm just a fan. So it might be interesting to see the amount of differing opinions. Right then, let's get straight into the first category. So we'll start with the best goalkeeper, and I'll put my one across first. I've gone with Sam Johnstone, and he's someone I bang on about all the time, to be honest. He's had a great year in a well-documented, struggling West Brom side. I think he'll be snapped up by a Premier League side next year, and he's just been fantastic for the Baggies this year. Most saves in the Premier League. For me, I think he should be going to the Euros, but obviously we've discussed that in a previous week. So yeah, for me, he's been hands down the best goalkeeper this year. Matt, who have you gone with in this category?
I really like Sam Johnstone, so I think that's a good shout from you, and someone who actually we've spoken about recently be a great goalkeeper for Arsenal. I think there could be an opportunity for a goalkeeper change at Arsenal, but there's a man on the screen I needs a bit of a shout. That's Scott Carson. We're just watching Man City Newcastle on Friday night, and he's making his Man City debut, I think. Got a nice little guard of honour from Newcastle. But yeah, going back, I'll be honest, I had a look at both yours before I was selecting mine. So some of them will be similar, and some of them I'll try to be a little bit different. So Sam Johnstone obviously is a good candidate. I've also looked at Edouard Mendy. I think been really, really solid for Chelsea. Defensively, obviously, since Thomas Tuchel's come in, he's changed them dramatically. And Mendy's been a big part of that. I think obviously it's well documented the problems they had with Kepa. Although I don't think he was at fault for the goal the other night. I think he's getting some harsh criticism on that one. But certainly Mendy coming in has made a massive difference. He's a big presence in the goal. He's made some big saves, big moments, and I think his career so far is something really for younger players to really look up to, because he really struggled back in France and was sort of playing third division. I think he even stopped playing for a bit and then managed to get his break and done well in Ligue 1, and then has obviously got his big move to Chelsea. And whether he was a stopgap, because I don't think he was a goalie that many people spoke about at the time, to be Chelsea number one and a number one of a team who are obviously Champions League finalists and FA Cup finalists and one of the biggest clubs in Europe. But he's been superb since he's come in. I think he's certainly one that can be put up there for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think Mendy's had a cracking year. Obviously, Chelsea in a Champions League final, in an FA Cup final as well. The other man I wanted to ask you about we'll come on to him in a minute as well, but you've put Martinez down as well. Why did you go with Mendy ahead of him?
Well, because I think Lewis has got Martinez written down, I think, and I wanted to allow him to speak about him. But real frustration for Arsenal fans.
We'll get on to my one. Martinez, I've gone with him. Now, when he left, I wasn't quite happy actually with the way he left and some of the things he said about Arsenal and the way he.
It's been going on a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, and Arteta couldn't just guarantee that he will be the number one for the whole season, which is good because you shouldn't be. And he wasn't prepared to fight for it. He thinks he's been fighting for 10 years at Arsenal. I think he was in the best position possible to be the Arsenal number one, and he really actually could have been it. And we've seen with Leno this season, really he could be on his way this summer because it has not been a good season for Leno, especially the last few months. And Martinez has been class for Villa. I think quite a lot of people have him in fantasy football for that reason. He's got third most clean sheets, I think, in the league. I think he levelled Aston Villa's Premier League record clean sheets for a season yesterday, on Thursday, when they drew with Everton. You know, yeah, he's made the odd mistake, but you're going to when you face that many shots.
Oh, yeah.
Villa, you know, they're not that leaky defence, but that's because they've had Martinez. Some of the saves are ridiculous. I wish Arsenal kept him, and I've seen him linked a little bit with Man United this week, which worries me a little bit. I can't see him going because he won't want to go being number 2 again, and that's what I think he would be at Man United. But just the fact that they're even thinking about it, or potentially thinking about it, shows how good he is, and maybe that Arsenal did make a mistake with that one.
Yeah, I don't think we can... Well, I think people can certainly point the finger at Arsenal, but I think people need to also remember he was at Arsenal for a long time, and he says he didn't get the opportunities. Now, maybe not, and he had a lot of loan moves, and I think he had some really successful loan moves, particularly is probably one of his last ones at Reading. But then I was there at Reading, and Lewis was as well, when he let in 5 in that 7-5 game, and he was absolutely terrible. Yeah. I was at Sheffield Wednesday away, where I travelled, and we lost 3-0, and he was in goal again then, and was poor again. So he didn't not get opportunities, and I think if you look at his time at Arsenal, maybe there hasn't been an outstanding number 1 in his time, and that's maybe where his frustrations lie, and you could probably understand that. But I think when he did have his opportunities, and you know, especially under Arsene Wenger, definitely want to rotate the team in the Europa League or in the Carabao Cup and even the FA Cup. He definitely had opportunities, and I say, obviously didn't really take them that well, and I think that was seen firsthand. But in his 6 months, or was it even 6 months, he was Arsenal goalkeeper and Arsenal number 1. Yeah, he did well, but to be guaranteed number 1, I guess that was a difficult one for Arteta. But I mean, he's been fantastic for Villa, and if we look at where Villa have changed from last season, and you know, surviving on the final day to the team they are now, the defence has been massively improved, and he's been a massive part of that.
And we used to mock Wenger, actually, because he used to say he had 3 world-class goalkeepers, and to be honest, at that time we probably thought he had none. I think Cech, Ospina, and then Martinez, or you know, variations of that. Maybe Chesney, Ospina, and Martinez, and how, I don't know. But to be honest, Martinez has proved to be near that level. Just because you're playing for Villa doesn't mean you can't be world-class. And I think he is getting up that level. Was he 28 now? 29, into his prime. Yeah, I think he's going to be a top keeper for a few years in the Premier League and can go and play for a better club. No disrespect to Villa, but I just...
No, definitely.
So he is my goalkeeper of the season, because I think he made Jamie Carragher's team this season actually the other day as well. Yeah,
that's always a good sign, I think.
Yeah.
No, I think for Martinez anyway, from what I saw of him, obviously that last 6 months he was excellent for Arsenal, but the sort of backlash and interviews he's been doing has felt like a bit of a betrayal as an Arsenal fan. Obviously, there's a lot of players that could have been what they have gone round in the last 10 years for Arsenal and are not really stuck around for too long, and he's one of them that's, like you said, Matt, he was given chances, and to be honest, he didn't really take them. And I can even remember a more recent one would be that 5-5 against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final. I think it was October 2019. I think he flapped one in against Origi in the 95th minute to make it 5-5, and that was just another example of him not being good enough. Now, obviously, the last year he's been absolutely excellent, and you can't really fault what he's done for Villa, other than I think that game against West Ham, where against Lingard.
I think it's a constant run of games. That's why he was so good on some of his loans, because he had that run of games where he knew he was going to be playing. He knew he was going to be Arsenal's goalkeeper when Leno got injured. There was no one else to go with, really. Matt Macey wasn't going to get a game, so it's that confidence that he was going to be. And I don't think he made a mistake, to be honest. Ever since after he replaced Leno against Brighton.
I mean, without sidetracking too much towards Arsenal, obviously we're all Arsenal here, but I think it did come out that he was going to be the first choice goalkeeper at the start of the year anyway, but it was his job to keep that, and for some reason he decided not to, and he wanted that absolute guarantee. I think in football it's always healthy to have some sort of competition.
Wasn't it away to Fulham the first game of the season? Is that what Arsenal had?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, he was going to play that game, but it was, I think he left 2 days before, or it was agreed basically 2 days before, but he was going to start that game, but he just... decided he wanted to leave.
I mean, Matt, you have it at Woking. Obviously, you got Craig Ross as the number 1. He's been fantastic, but you always got to bring in a good number 2 to keep that healthy sort of environment.
I think it brings out the best in people, doesn't it? It's competition is key. It breeds from the training ground, and having competition, that's something that has to be a must. You know, everything you do is competitive. we only were talking to some of our younger players this week about the games in training matter. It's important. You must be desperate to win, die to score, block anything you can, make any save you can to win, and that's only in training, and that only breeds into games. And if you're not bothered in training, that mentality goes on. So competition is massive, especially for the goalkeepers. I think it subconsciously can become quite complacent if you know you're going to play every week, or you're deemed number one. Look, rightly so. If you're performing well week in, week out, you've got the shirt. And goalkeepers are a vital part of a team. A good goalkeeper, they say, can win them 10 to 15 points a season. But it's so important that on a day-to-day basis that you've got good quality around you.
All I'd say just quickly, I mean, that sounds a bit easy thing to say. In the Premier League, we've got some good goalies in this league. All right, it's the best league in the world, you could say. But most teams, you look at, we're watching this Man City game now, obviously not Carson, but I'm talking about, they've got Dubravka, and earlier this season, how good Carl Darlow was. A bit unlucky maybe to lose his place, but Dubravka is a very good goalie. But quite a lot of the teams throughout this league, for some top keepers, you could be playing higher in the division. And, if Arsenal need to replace Leno, there's a few that they could replace him with in this league.
I think we'll be well populated in the Euros this year in terms of that category, the goalkeeper. I mean, you're absolutely spot on in saying the depth at most clubs is fantastic. Obviously, one of the ones that maybe it isn't is Arsenal. But yeah, let's not dwell too much on the goalkeepers. We've had 3 good nominations there. Who do you reckon we're going with, Matt?
For me, I know it's the Premmy Awards, so it is very much Premier League. If we're looking on a wider Premier League teams across their own season, I think if Mendy finishes the season with an FA Cup winners medal, probably not going to play tomorrow in the cup final. Kepa, I'd imagine, will start.
Yep.
And a Champions League winners medal, you can't look far from him and what he's brought to Chelsea. But I think we're going to have to go with Martinez. Yeah. I think he's been exceptional this year. Sam Johnson runs him a close second. I think although not particularly his fault, it's going to tarnish his season, the fact that he's ended up in a relegated side. I'm no doubt that he'll be a Premier League goalkeeper next year. Will he be a starter? It'd be interesting. It would depend where he goes, but I'm certain that he will be a Premier League goalkeeper, unless he gives West Brom one season. But I feel like off the back of a season like this, he'd be mad not to cash in on a move.
Yep.
I think we're going to decide on Martinez, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Do I get anything for that? Getting that right? I'll go with what I said.
Well, I think we've discussed him enough, and he's had he had 10 years at Arsenal, I think, something like that. He's hitting the prime of his career, and he's had a fantastic year at Villa, and can't really fault him. So yeah, more than happy to stick him there as our best goalkeeper for the year. So that's number 1 decided, the goalkeeper. Move on to the next category. You can probably guess it. It's going to be the best defender. Now, I've gone with Ruben Diaz. For me, he's an absolute brick wall at the back. I think everything right about Manchester City has come through him this year. Lots of high-class performances, and I think you look at the start of the year, you wouldn't have said Stones and Diaz would have been a championship-winning or Premier League-winning centre-back partnership, rather, and they've really proved us wrong, to be honest. I think he's probably brought up the standard of the team, and especially John Stones as well. I think I've compared him before to Virgil van Dijk, and he's put in a lot of Van Dijk-esque performances this season. Not afraid to throw his body on the line, old-school defender. And he's really filled the hole, the big void that was left by Vincent Kompany at the end of the 2018-19 season. So for me, absolute no-brainer. I've got to go with Ruben Diaz. Lewis.
Well, I've also gone with Ruben Diaz. It's not really a surprise. He has made Man City title winners again, basically. I think they needed to shore it up at the back. That was their main problem last year. Everyone kept saying it. He doesn't replace Kompany, etc. And then Laporte was injured for all them months, missed most of last season, and that's what everyone thinks led to Liverpool win the league by as far as they did. But thing is, with Diaz, not many people actually realise he is Man City's record signing. Everyone says about Man City splashing the cash. They never spend absolutely massive amounts on one player, and he's their record signing at 64 million. It's only 10 million, 11 million less than Van Dijk was, and Van Dijk was such massively lauded as a signing, and he's going to come in and change Liverpool, and he did. But Diaz has done it as well at City, and he's going to look like he's going to win. He's going to win 2 trophies this year. He could win 3, and it could be as big an effect as Van Dijk had for Liverpool. So You can't look past him. I don't think for defender of the season.
I think just quickly going away from this category. Obviously, you say about Man City, the fact that they bought Diaz for what 11 million. I think it was less than Van Dijk. I just think their recruitment's been very, very clever because yes, they spent big, but they've always spent big on the correct positions. I think other than maybe looking at someone like a Nathan Ake, which was maybe a little bit of a waste of money.
Mendy.
And Ben Mendy as well, yeah. But other than that, they've recruited a squad, and a lot of people say, obviously, it's huge beneficial to do with their Saudi money. But I think they've really spent it well. And some clubs maybe like, again, your Arsenals have not spent that money.
Instead of buying a player for 150 million, they've bought, 2 fullbacks for 50 million each. I think that's their approach, and they're going right. Not going to have one really good one. No. We're going to have 2 really good ones, but at a lower price.
Is any fullback worth 150 mil though?
No, that's okay, maybe not a fullback.
So
Alphonso Davies might be up there at some point, but no, he's not. He's not worth that. I'm just saying in general. I think
they know what they're doing.
I think
they've just built two good players in every position.
When you talk about Man City's recruitment, it's been fantastic. We're watching a game here, and they've rotated quite a bit, and it's still quality. I think that the Palace game prior to the second leg against PSG, where they massively rotated, and their front two was Jesus and Aguero, is ridiculous. But you also got to take into the fact that they are a massive club now. That their pulling power is financially is huge.
Yep.
They can have effectively who they want. They've got arguably the best manager in the world, currently the best manager around, one of the best of all time.
For me,
manager,
for sure, at the moment.
The brand of football they play, you'd be mad to turn them down. So they can get who they want, really. Yes, they've gone out and identified the players, but there's a few players this summer that could be up for grabs. Look at someone like Haaland, and I would not be surprised if he ended up at Manchester City in the summer. I know they've said, oh, maybe not, but first of all, why would you not want to play for Man City? And certainly they can afford him.
I mean, we've seen this year that they don't really need a striker to win the league, but I think that would just add to probably their... I mean, I was going to say their chances of winning the Champions League, but they're in the final as well for that. So I think that it would just make them unstoppable, Man City. And Matt, we haven't actually gone on to yours, but you put down Diaz and Stones. You can't really separate those two as a partnership?
I put down Stones alongside Diaz because obviously you two have gone with Diaz. But one thing I say, and I think Lewis mentioned it, is you look at Liverpool bringing in Van Dijk. That was the signing they needed to make that step up and win the league. And when we think about Man City last season, Liverpool obviously champions, that is where they fell short in that defensive area of the pitch. So to identify a player like him, obviously we've talked about how they can, if they identify him and they want him, they'll get him. But him to come in and have the impact he had, and probably took him a little while to get going, and we saw Man City's results at the beginning of the season. But and then again talk about John Stones, because I think I'll mention him later on in another category. But his turnaround has been phenomenal, and they've built such a partnership. And it's just crazy they've got the quality of Aymeric Laporte that doesn't get in the team. But I think John Stone's got to be commended, because I think when you're an English player and you're having a bad time, you'll get it harder than anyone else does. And he's had a lot of criticism, and he's made some high-profile mistakes, especially for England. But he has come back and been fantastic for them, and rightly so. Diaz gets the credit, and I'm sure he's gonna win this category, but John Stones has been superb alongside him, and to win the league you need a good defensive pair, and you think of the Vidic and Ferdinand, Terry and Carvalho, even Sol Campbell and Toure. They are solid defensive partnerships that win titles. Van Dijk and Matip or Gomez or whoever's playing with him then, but that is what it's about, so you need to have two.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this year just how important it is, that centre-back position. You can have all the attacking quality you want. We've seen it in Liverpool. Obviously, they've had Van Dijk and Matip that have been injured for a while now, the last sort of 8-9 months, and that's really cost them dearly. I think we're all in agreement. I think we're happy to go with Ruben Diaz for this one as the best defender. I don't think there's any argument on that. Right, we'll stick him in there. That is 2 down. We'll move on then to the best midfielder. Now, I can see here straight away we've got split opinions on this, so this might be a little bit more of a difficult one to decide. I've gone with Bruno Fernandes. I think ever since Bruno Fernandes.
Bruno Fernandes.
I think ever since he joined United in January 2020, he's changed their fortune. I think some people do call him a bit of a penalty merchant, but for me, he's been absolutely fantastic. Just not just his goal scoring ability, but also his all-round play. I know his influence on the team is absolutely huge. He wants to win every game. I think he's one of those players that you want in the changing room. And for me, he's been a head and shoulders above everyone else this year. Obviously, I think we will touch on De Bruyne in a minute, but maybe he just hasn't had as good of a season as Bruno has, and I think that sort of proves in the way United have probably going to finish second this year. And to be honest, at the start of the year, I don't think any of us saw that coming. Lewis, who have you gone with?
Well, quickly, I just want to mention Fernandes because it is worth mentioning. 18 goals and 11 assists from midfield. I haven't gone with Fernandes, but I just want to... It is ridiculous, actually. Ridiculous stats for a midfielder. It's weird, though, because sometimes you go for a game and he's not that... he's not that influential until he scores or assists, but then he'll grab a penalty and he'll score the penalty. He won't miss it.
Yeah.
And he is the winner, you're right. He'll carry the team even if he doesn't have the best game himself.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go with him. I'm going to go with Ilkay Gundogan.
Right.
Because there was a point at Man City were bottom half of the table, and De Bruyne was injured. And then he took on the mantle of De Bruyne and he started scoring goals. He started playing in a slightly different position, more attacking, and he led Man City to winning all these games in a row. Don't know how many he got to in the end, 20-something games in a row in all comps. And they just stormed ahead of everyone in the league. They were miles off it.
Some turnaround, wasn't it, from November?
Yeah, and I think he was a massive part of it. So that is why he's going to get my... he's going to get my... I think he's only got one assist this season, but 10 goals, I think, from a bloke who doesn't ever normally score anywhere near that amount in a league campaign. Yeah. It shows how good a campaign he's had, and I think when De Bruyne got injured, people would have thought, "Oh no, this is going to get even worse for Man City." But in fact, I think at some point they might have even played better without De Bruyne. But I think we're going to get onto him.
I think he's always been a solid player for Man City, but he's never been one to obviously steal the headlines. And those goals this year, without, like we seem to mention all the time, that obvious focal point up front. Obviously, they missed with Jesus, hasn't been great this year, and Aguero that's been injured all the time. He's really stepped up, and I think in an interview I saw a couple of days ago, he said this is probably his best season, tied with the one that Dortmund got to the Champions League final at Wembley in 2013. So I think that just shows you how good of a season he's had. Great shout.
I'll be honest, I think since he's come to Man City, I don't think he's lived up to his to what he could do, and like I said, especially that last the season at Dortmund where they got to the Champions League final, he obviously scored in the final. When they got him, I thought, wow, they've got a hell of a player here, and he hadn't really lived up to that until now. And I'm not saying because he's added goals to his game, because I don't necessarily think he was anywhere near prolific goal scorer or at Dortmund, but this has definitely been his best season. I think probably he's underachieved before that at Man City on a personal note. But my selection was a quite obvious one for me, because he's a player I absolutely love watching. I think he is a Rolls Royce of a footballer. I still can't believe Chelsea let him go all those years ago, and I've seen a couple of videos knocking around of performances where he's done well for Chelsea, and it was like, well, actually they didn't. Why did no one see this at the time?
Yeah.
And that's Kevin De Bruyne, because Lewis mentioned he's obviously spent some time injured this year, but when he's on his day this year, he's been fantastic to watch, and he's getting better and better. He's by far the best complete midfielder in the world for me. I think Bruno Fernandes has been fantastic for Man United, that you touched upon before, Alf. Fernandes, to be fair, is a player that I didn't really know much about till he was linked with Spurs and then later linked with Man United.
Same, yeah.
But he's shown the quality. But De Bruyne for me is just that complete player, and has been this year. It shows how good and the strength in depth Manchester City have, that they've been able to play as well as they have when he hadn't been in the team. But I think when he's been in the team, he has been different class, and his range of passing, second to none.
No, don't disagree, Matt. I think for me, looking at it, this is easily the hardest category to decide because of what you said about Bruno, and he sort of carried that Man United team both on and off the pitch, in my opinion, and up to second place, where, like I've said, we never thought we'd see them in second place anytime soon. But obviously, De Bruyne has won the league with Man City, and Gundogan has had such a huge impact on them. Obviously, goal scoring as well as just his usual role in midfield. So if I had to rule it down to one, I'd probably go with Gundogan as an all-round season. Lewis, what do you reckon?
If we're just looking at this season, I think you could then throw back at me how Fernandez's stats are so unbelievably better than Gundogan.
I think we could also look at, if you took one of them out of their teams, who would perform, whose team are performing better. Now, if we're looking at that, I would possibly say Fernandez is more influential.
That's not. Yeah, but then that's not. You say that, but that's not Gundogan's fault that Man City's squad is a lot better than Man United.
He's trying to cling on to his choice here.
Man United's squad is just not as good as Man City, which means Gundogan is not as important for Man City as Fernandes is for United. That's it. Doesn't make Fernandes play midfield of the season? I don't know. Possibly. His stats are ridiculously good.
I think it's a great point, to be honest. If you did take Bruno out of that Man United team, I could see them probably 5th or 6th, or maybe potentially lower.
You're right. You just said De Bruyne is the best midfielder in the world, and they took him out, and they were so good without him, Man City. So I think you are right there. It does emphasise your point, I think.
Yeah, I think that just really supports the fact that Man City's depth is just on another level.
I think Gundogan was so important in them actually winning the league, but I would edge towards Fernandes more than De Bruyne, just on this season. Okay. I think.
I mean, I've said Gundogan. I feel like I'm going to go back to Bruno just because of the fact he's pushed them up to second, probably single-handedly.
I think on the impact that he has brought to them this year, and the weight of goals and assists, it's just a regular occurrence that he will score or he will assist. I think recently they've had a lot of games in a short amount of time. He's played in majority of them. I know he missed out against Leicester, but he plays all the time. Even away at Roma, where they were basically through, he plays.
Yep. Well, he's just an absolute Rolls Royce of a player, like you said about De Bruyne. He's got an engine on him. I think another player that would sort of fill that category up until the other day with Maguire. Another player that I think he's played every single minute in the Premier League since he joined them.
Until we jinxed him last week.
Yeah, exactly. Until then. So, yeah, Bruno's impact since obviously January 2020 and then this year as well has been unbelievable. So I think it's fair to say we'll go with him as the midfielder category. Right, move on then. And you probably guessed the next category is going to be the best attacker. Now, it pains me to say I'm going to have to go with Harry Kane. I think I've basically just put down his stats in my notes here. I've gone with he's got 16 goals, 13 assists. It's just ridiculous. I think for me this year, what's impressed me most is we know he can score goals and score plenty of them, but actually his range of passing has been unbelievable. I think it's really come to fruition this year, and I think he'll be a massive part of that Euro squad for England as well. And if he can hit just half of the form that he's been putting on in the Premier League for Tottenham, then I think we're in for a treat this year, England fans. So yeah, for me, can't really look much further past Harry Kane. Matt, who have you gone with then?
I agree with you. I think you can't really look much further than Harry Kane. The sheer weight of goals again this season, adding the assists, like he spoke, his different position that he sort of ended up playing under Mourinho. But I wanted to go a little bit left field, and I've gone with Patrick Bamford, someone who for years has either been in the Premier League and not done it, or been on the cusp of the Premier League and deemed not good enough. But he's come in this year. He scored 16 league goals from Leeds last year in the Championship winning team.
Been excellent.
And he's been excellent again this year. 15 goals in the Premier League, 7 assists. Now, for a player who for years has been joked about and deemed not good enough, obviously spent a lot of time at Chelsea with various loan moves. He has been superb for Leeds. Not obviously a team that are known for being attacking, but not necessarily a team that are going to have a striker scoring that weight of goals. So I probably going to agree with you, Alf, and say there's not many people who are going to get close to Harry Kane. But I think a mention for him, who's not probably the fashionable Premier League striker, but has done exceptionally well this year.
No, but he's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, something that I've picked up about him is his movement. I know we'll come on to someone else that is excellent at that. But he finds himself in the right place at the right time most of the time. I think we saw that last week with Leeds' 3-1 win over Tottenham. Just thought I'd give that quick mention. I think you got a bit of a tap in, but at the end of the day, you've got to be there to score it. So yeah, Bamford has been excellent this year. Obviously, a lot of doubters have various clubs. I think obviously Middlesbrough's been one of them. Chelsea's been one of them. Obviously Leeds now, and I think maybe a bit of the credit comes down to Bielsa. He's getting a lot out of those players, and maybe a set of players that on paper, maybe half of them aren't quite Premier League quality, apart from maybe the attacking players. Obviously they've shipped quite a lot of goals as well, so I think quite a lot of credit does have to come down to Bielsa. I think he's got a lot out of his players this year, especially those attacking ones, and Bamford really has benefited from that. Right, Lewis, who have you gone with?
Well, mine's. I mean, I've taken, the attacker category to a little bit of a wide attacker actually. And you could say he's a midfielder, but I've gone with Phil Foden.
Yep.
I think he's been quality this season. We know we spoke about him last week with the England squad podcast, but every time we watch him, you can't believe that he's English actually, because he's so good. He's so good. All right, his stats aren't, he ain't got double figures in goals or assists, but it's been by far his best season. He's been given more of a chance by Pep. I think since David Silva's left, it's been good. But to be honest, he's not really played in that position. He's played in the front three a lot more, and he's keeping Sterling at the team.
Yep.
Which, if you would have said that a year ago, you would have laughed. People would have laughed at you because Sterling was so good for City last season. But yeah, I'm going to go with Foden. I agree with Kane, I think, but I just wanted to be different.
Yeah.
And Foden deserves a mention because in that front three, he's just ridiculous how good he is. And Pep's right. Pep said he's the most talented player he's ever worked with, and he's managed Messi. So we'll read into that what you want, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Foden.
Yeah.
I think it's worth mentioning as well that for all the talent that Man City have bought, and we've brushed on their recruitment earlier on, he's come through their academy, and I think that's got to be admired. You would not be surprised if you're seeing Phil Foden in 3, 4, 5 years picking up Ballon d'Ors and best player in the world. Not that we're overhyping him because he's English, but that is where you can see him going, especially in this sort of team with this sort of manager. And he's come through their academy, so I think for much as a lot of people throw at the Man City, they spend lots of money and they're buying in players for 50, 60, 70 million and a time. He's someone who's come through their academy and is a local lad and has been fantastic for them this year. He's a young kid, but plays like a senior player. As quality on the ball is fantastic. His dribbling skills are great, and he is now a regular in a world class Manchester City team from 1 to 11. They've got world class top talent. They could pick any player they wanted in the world, really, within reason, to have in their side, and they've got this young English player. So he deserves a lot of credit for this year. And let's be honest, there's a lot of people that were frustrated with Pep and the lack of opportunity he was giving Phil Foden, but didn't he just know how to manage him? Now he's unleashed him, and we're all seeing the quality that he has.
I think that's something you can look at all these players. That maybe quite a lot of them aren't probably names that you thrust into the headlight straight away, but under the right managers, you get the right output out of players. I think that Man City Academy has produced a number of seriously good players. Obviously Foden more recently, Sancho obviously now at Dortmund. I think they integrate quite a lot into the first team squad. I think Liam Delap is one of them that's probably going to be one for the future as well.
Does he throw it like his dad?
Well, that'd be great, wouldn't it? But yeah, if I'm looking at the overall attacker this year, and we've got to consider again taking the player out of the team, what impact that would have on them. Now, Foden for Man City, I'm not quite sure if that would have too much of an impact. I'm not trying to base the whole opinion around that, but
Yeah, we can't base the whole thing on that.
No.
You You got to look at it as the player individually, how good they actually are, rather than.
I mean, if we're basing it on that, I think Harry Kane wins because Tottenham would be about 16th this year.
I think Harry Kane wins anyway. I think his sheer weight of goals, the assists he's now brought into his game, the partnership him and Son had, especially in the first half of the season. I think he does everything. He's a complete attacker now. For years, probably people say, he's a great goal scorer. What else has he got? But he certainly has got more to his game now, and he is the complete forward. And I look forward to him signing for Man United in the summer.
Definitely, yeah. No, I mean, I said it at the start, his range of passing is absolutely unbelievable. I think I watched a game, it might have actually been the Arsenal game, where he was just tearing us to shreds, to be honest. The balls in behind for Bergwijn, Mora, I think Bale came on as well, were just ridiculous. And adding that to his game, he's going to be very dangerous for England this year at the Euros. So yeah, Harry Kane, best attacker. I think that's fair. I think we made some good decisions so far. Right, we'll get on to the next category. So, someone we've already talked about for the best young player, the under 21, and I'm going with Phil Foden again. Now, lots of
next category then. Yeah, that was done, is it?
Well, I think someone's got an argument against that, but there's lots of competition for this. I think, but for me, Foden's hands down the winner. Best youngster I've seen in a very long time, and we've gone on about him for a while now. I think one thing that's quite notable is his consistency. He rarely has a poor game for Man City, and he's always looking dangerous, always making those runs in behind. And he still feels like he's a young player out to prove himself, even though we know just how good he is. So it's great to see him grow and seeing him getting better and better every week. So Phil Foden, I think, is the obvious shout. Matt, I think you're going to back that up, aren't you?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's much more that can be said for him, but he's certainly been, for me, the best young player, an under 21 player in the Premier League this season.
Yep, Lewis.
That was simple. Well, I did have Foden, and then I changed it and put Foden as my attacker. So I thought I've got to be different. Yeah, it is Foden. The answer is Foden.
That is the right answer.
But I'm going to mention Bukayo Saka because he has carried Arsenal, and if you took him out, I can't imagine where there would be
problems.
And he can play in any position, and actually, arguably his best position, the best performance of the season was last Sunday at left back.
Yeah, can't disagree with that.
It tells you everything really when he's actually nailed down the right wing spot. He's quality, and that's about it. But I agree with you, it's Foden.
I think his ability to vary his position is absolutely unbelievable.
The versatility is great. Obviously, played right wing back against Chelsea in the week, left back against West Brom in the last.
Wasn't very good. I don't think he was very good at right wing back.
No, but the manager felt confident to put him there, and I think that is great. But I do worry that if he doesn't just nail one position, he could become someone who is good around the squad for versatility. We look at another Arsenal player, Maitland-Niles, who
about to say,
central has always said he's a central midfielder, but has probably played his best football as a left wing back or right back or right wing back, and unfortunately now Arsenal don't see him in that position, and it looks like he's going to have to move on. But look, I think Saka's probably got enough quality that actually he'll be a regular fixture at Arsenal for a long time on that right wing position, but obviously has that quality that he can fill in, and like Lewis said, he did play very well at left back. I wouldn't want to see him there regularly, not because he can't do it, but because I want to see him higher up the pitch.
I think Arteta wants to see him higher up the pitch, and he used him out of desperation that he needed someone.
He used Xhaka ahead of him, hasn't he, as a left back
option? He did, yeah. And as soon as Xhaka got injured, he didn't. I can't remember what he did against Villarreal. What did he do against Villarreal? I can't remember. He put Tierney in when Tierney was half fit because he didn't want to move Saka back to left back. And in the end, he had to go with him against West Brom, and he did really well. But I think in the future, Arteta said it. His best position is the front three. I want him up the pitch, so that's not a worry for me.
For me, I think what's interesting is finding that position, because Matt, you said right wing. Now, obviously, he has played very well at right wing this year, but at times for me, he can be a little bit too predictable. He comes in on that left foot, and he doesn't quite have the whip. I think he needs to work on that technically. He can be a great player. It's just about finding what position that is.
Yeah, I think the assist against Benfica, where he cuts in at the end for Aubameyang and delivers a great ball, but he can also go on the outside, and I think he's assisted goals where he goes on the outside. I remember the goal with the assist, the little nutmeg and finish against Newcastle to Pepe, I think it was.
Yeah.
So he's got that. I think, I'll be honest, I think as Arsenal fans, we love him. He's an Arsenal boy. He's been there since he was very young, and he obviously loves the club. And we love the fact that he is that player from the academy. But I don't think he probably gets the credit he deserves. And probably people look at him and think, oh, he's Arsenal fans overhyping him. but he has been exceptional for Arsenal, and they're shining light in what has been an extremely disappointing season.
Yep.
I think the optimism around the club wasn't that we're going to be a Champions League team and compete at the top, but after the winning the FA Cup and even the Community Shield, albeit a lesser sort of trophy, there was real optimism that Arsenal under Arteta with the signings that were made, Gabriel and Partey, for example, were going to do best this year. But he's been someone has really sort of carried the team and brought some excitement to the fans that there hasn't really been for much of the season.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I think something we forget with Saka, because he's been around for quite a few seasons, well, two seasons definitely, is how young he is. Now, he's only 19. I've just looked up, Smith Rowe's only 20. Now, in a season that's been, very negative for Arsenal, I think it's fair to say, having those two youngsters coming through is maybe a little bit of a base to build around. So there is some positivity. There is a bit of a light shining at the end of the tunnel. But yeah, I think I can't really go away from Phil Foden.
No, it's Phil Foden.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yep. I think no more needs to be said about that then. We'll put Foden in there then. Right, next category. Now, I think there's been a few different answers on this one. Most surprising player we've gone with. Now, I've gone with Thomas Soucek from West Ham. He's been that midfield general that West Ham have needed alongside Declan Rice. I think at the start of the year he popped up with quite a few important goals, and obviously him alongside his Czech Republic teammate Kufal right back have been an absolute revelation in a West Ham side. I think they're fifth at the moment. I think that just sums up how good of a season they've had, and I'll talk about David Moyes as well, but I think it's another case of a manager getting the best out of a limited group of players, in my opinion, with some clever recruitment added in there as well. So yeah, for me, Soucek's been very surprising. I think West Ham have been surprising as they are, and I'll touch on that. But yeah, Soucek for me is the player that sprang to mind straight away, so I've got to go with him. Matt.
So I've got a couple of names written down. I want to mention one that's probably I'm not going to put forward, but I want to get mentioned to is John Stones that we spoke about, and surprising because he was in such a bad way. He was not playing well. He was not a regular for Manchester City. It looked like he was out of Guardiola's plans. I think there was a lot of time last year where he was on the bench and midfielders were playing centre back ahead of him, and he wasn't getting any games. And to now come and put the season ahead, I think surprising, probably not, but surprising not in the ability, but probably surprising that he's come back from where he has. But for me, somebody just mentioned, and it's Emile Smith Rowe, because I think when he come into the Arsenal team, Arsenal were on their knees. They were on a terrible run of form. Mikel Arteta was probably very close to losing his job. Emile Smith Rowe is not someone new to Arsenal fans this season. He's been around for a while, and he's flitted in and out of sides, and he's had loan spells. Most recently was at Huddersfield. I think he did okay at Huddersfield. I don't think he set the world alight for someone that you'd think should be if they want to be a regular at Arsenal. And I'll be honest, personally, I thought he was just going to be one that maybe ended up flattering to deceive and possibly moved on. Now, what we've seen is the complete opposite. What we've seen is a player come in and I think his first Premier League start of the season was the Chelsea game, and was exceptional that day and a real shining light alongside Bukayo Saka, and he's really been able to compete that can sort of keep that form up, which is also very tough being a young player. And he's not as young as Saka, and he's 20 years old, and we're probably looking at a lot of the young players are in the first team's 18s. You look at Rashford when he broke through, or Greenwood, those top players. But it's taken him a couple of years longer to get his opportunity, and he's had his loan spells. But now he's really starting to show the quality that he has on the ball. and made that sort of number 10 or wide position his own, and he's been exceptional for Arsenal, and he's a shoe-in to start in the strongest team.
Absolutely.
For me. It's been a good surprise as an Arsenal fan, but certainly one that at the beginning of the season I wouldn't have said that he would be such an integral part of the Arsenal team.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously when he did come into the team, Arsenal were on their knees on a terrible run of form. Now, we pretty much turned it around straight away as soon as he came in. I think it was that Chelsea game, obviously won 3-1, and then went on a bit of a run into early January. I think it did really help him that we were so low at that point. I think a player like him maybe wouldn't have got the opportunity, and Arteta put some faith in a younger player to go out there and show what they're made of. And to be honest, he's taken his opportunity to the fullest extent. So I'm really pleased for him, and he's had an excellent season. And to be honest, it's a great shout. I didn't think of Smith Rowe, but he has really surprised me. And Lewis, this is an interesting one you've got here.
Yeah, well, when you said the categories over and I saw most surprising player, I took it two ways, and the way I took it was who was surprisingly bad, and I've gone with Willian, who we've known for years and years and years in the Premier League of being a good performer, and sometimes an even better performer than that. And I don't think he was a favourite with all Chelsea fans. I know some Chelsea fans didn't like him. But he came to Arsenal. Arsenal fans maybe weren't happy with giving a 31-year-old, or whatever he was at that time, a 3-year contract. But we knew what he got. We knew what he had, and we thought he would be good. And then, against Fulham the first day, I think he got 2 or 3 assists. We thought, here we go. This is, we're going well. I don't know if he's actually doubled that yet since that game. So I'm going to say him because he's been surprisingly bad. He took 37 games in an Arsenal shirt to score, and what surprises me is the fact that he didn't take more free kicks more often. It was quite often Arsenal, Odegaard would take them, or other players would take them. I mean, that's his party piece, really. That's what he does, and that's what he did at Chelsea a lot.
Absolutely.
And he finally put one in on Sunday when he was given the chance to.
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter in a game. The game didn't matter. And, and that's the most annoying thing. But
I think that's one thing that was probably exciting about the Willian signing was the set piece delivery, free kicks, corners, something that Arsenal have struggled for such a long time to have some good quality balls in the box or someone to put in a direct free kick, and that was probably one thing that we thought, well, are we sure that he's right for Arsenal? Or where's he going to fit in? Is he going to play regularly? But actually, what he will bring to the team is that, and that's just another one of the frustrations what we haven't seen from him. So he has been extremely disappointing and surprised to be how poor he has been.
I think he's probably the first, if you want to say, dead ball specialist since, I'd say, probably Cesc Fabregas. Springs to mind straight away, someone that can put a reliable...
Andre Santos was good.
Willian's a bit of a strange one. To be honest, you've made a great point there, because something that I wasn't thinking of when I created this category was surprisingly bad. Now, I spoke to a lot of my Chelsea mates before he joined, and they basically said, look, he's not a bad player. He'll probably have his one game a year where he'll turn into Ronaldinho, and the rest, he's pretty bang average. And from what I've seen, he hasn't looked particularly committed. He hasn't looked particularly bothered.
I haven't seen Ronaldinho, I'll tell you that.
No. I think the only sort of shade of that would be that his free kick against West Brom, he's certainly not had a game like he did against Tottenham in December 2019. So, yeah, very disappointing, very, very disappointing as an Arsenal fan to have someone in. I think we've had quite a few now. David Luiz, he's not been terrible. Czech, the other one, who probably wasn't great. Maybe we should just stop signing Chelsea players. Most surprising... to be honest, I really do think Willian is the most surprising. Looking at Souček now, that's quite a weak nomination compared to these other two. Smith Rowe is very strong again because
I think Souček was good for West Ham last year on loan, so I wouldn't necessarily say it was a surprise he's been as good this year, because I think he was quite strong from obviously before they made that permanent. I mean, I know I think Smith Rowe it's a surprise because he's someone who probably was nowhere near Arsenal's first team at the beginning of the season, definitely not in Mikel Arteta's thoughts. I think he probably deserves a bit of credit because although it got so bad, he went with the young players and said, right, this is all we got and we've got to go with them. And actually, that's probably one thing that he has done well in his recent tenure at Arsenal, and he's under a lot of criticism, rightly so currently. But bringing the likes of Smith Rowe through and the quality that he brings. He's been a massive surprise for me.
You get the casting vote, Alf.
Yeah.
It's down to you.
I think on the basis that these are supposed to be positive awards, Willian's a great shout. I love that. I think you made a great point there. He's been very surprising. I didn't expect him to be that bad. But I've got to go with Smith Rowe because at the start of the year, someone that, like you said, didn't really quite make it on loan at Huddersfield, wasn't really anywhere near the first team. I think at the time he came into the team, we were crying out for an attacking midfielder. Obviously after Mesut Ozil departed, I think that was early January. So yeah, Smith Rowe, he's been a revelation for Arsenal this year. Can't really look too much further than him. Right, next category. A category I didn't really think too much about, to be honest. I think you both got much stronger nominations, but I literally just searched up Premier League hat-tricks 2020-21, and the top one that came up was the one that I watched live, and I was very surprised because Tom came on a few weeks ago, and he was his scout nomination. That's Chris Wood, away at Wolves. He was absolutely unplayable that day. Clinical in front of goal. I think, for me, Chris Wood is someone who doesn't quite get the credit that he maybe deserves in an unfashionable Sean Dyche team, but Sean Dyche does get the job done, and he brings in players that do the job for him. So that performance from Chris Wood was absolutely excellent. He tore apart Wolves. Obviously, they're pretty ordinary this year, in my opinion, but still, that was a complete performance and a real old school striking performance from Chris Wood. But yeah, I mean, like I've said, these other two probably blow that out of the water. So Matt, who's your one?
Yeah, I think when I was thinking of mine, I was thinking about what is the ingredients to this individual performance, whether it be in goals and actually my one is a hat-trick hero as well as yours, Alf, but also like the magnitude of the game or what the result meant. And mine is Jamie Vardy for the hat-trick he scored at the Etihad in the first half of the season before Christmas in Leicester's 5-2 win there. Now, it did involve 2 penalties, but one of them, at least one of them, he won himself. And they were well taken penalties, really well taken penalties. And the other goal, I don't know if you remember, was the back heel flick over Edison, which was brilliant. Such an unbelievable finish. And although he hasn't been at it at late, we know the quality that Jamie Vardy has and the quality he has in front of goal. The magnitude of that result was a shockwave, wasn't it? To score 5 at Man City, and they were in desperate trouble with Man City at that time in the season, and obviously that shows how well they've got on, and how well they've done. But yeah, look, it was a great day for for Leicester. He actually could have had another penalty. Leicester avoided 3 penalties on the day, and he'd actually been taken off, and Tielemans, I think, scored the last one. But yeah, I mean, a great performance from a great striker, a Premier League legend now. And I say, when I'm thinking about it, it's the magnitude of the result, and I think we'll come on to Leicester in another category, and some of their fantastic results against bigger sides.
Vardy's a real cult hero now, not only at Leicester but of the Premier League as well. I think he's another one of those examples of players that have worked their way up from lower league. I think he was at Fleetwood to start with, and he's made an absolutely fantastic career for himself. And that game, I watched that game again live, and at that point, obviously, Man City conceding 5 goals at home. I think that was before Ruben Diaz actually signed for Man City. So at that point, they were crying out for a centre back, and they were really struggling at that point. So yeah, Vardy, absolutely excellent performance that day, and for me, that's a great shout. Lewis, who did you go with?
When I saw this category, straight away I thought of Gundogan, and I thought of Gundogan away at both Tottenham and Liverpool, actually, because he scored 2 in the space of a week. Sorry, it might have been at home. It might have been home against Tottenham and away against Liverpool. But in the space of 2 weekends, he scored 4 goals. I'm gonna go with the one at Liverpool away, just for the fact, Man City, they won 4-1 at Anfield. All right, Liverpool weren't at their best, and they had barely any players, but it just put the nail in the coffin for their title hopes early February. Obviously, already mentioned Gundogan as my midfielder of the season, and that was going through that period of time where City really had turned it around. They're charging towards the top. He's got 2 goals that day. I thought he was class. Gundogan's the one for me. That performance came straight to my head when I thought of it. And I think that's the main thing with this category, because I don't want to just. I know you looked up hat tricks and things like that, and to be fair, I did that as well. But I did that after I thought the Gundogan one, and I thought, no, I'm gonna stick with it because he stuck in my head how good he was that day at Liverpool. So I'm gonna stick with that.
Yeah, and just quickly here, we're watching Newcastle Man City. We're in the 51st minute of the first half. Scott Carson up against the prolific Joe Linton. Oh, he scored 2-2. That'd have been nice to see Scott Carson make a save there. But yeah, Gundogan, he's been excellent for them all year. I think like we talked about him earlier. But the other person you've got in here, he didn't go with him in the end, is Ollie Watkins. Now, you said you looked up hat tricks. I'm assuming you put this in after you said Gundogan.
I did, yeah. But with again, you can take this category a couple of ways. Best individual performance, yeah. Best individual team performance, obviously Villa against Liverpool in a one-off game,
Yes.
7-2, and Watkins scored a hat-trick that day. So that's why I had him down.
Yep.
In both ways, really. But Liverpool, I think they had Van Dijk that day, and they're still letting 7.
Yep.
And they've been moaning since how bad hard it's been without Van Dijk. So yeah, I'll stick with Gundogan.
Yep.
But yeah, an honourable mention there for an individual performance from Villa, and also on the day from Watkins.
Yep. No, that's fair enough. And if we're going to have to decide, for me, Matt, I'm glad you reminded me of that Vardy performance because it was absolutely brilliant. I've got to go with Jamie Vardy away at City. Matt, I'm assuming you're going to stick with that. Lewis,
Yeah, I am, yeah.
I mean, it's 2-1.
I know Lewis will be disappointed because it was 2 penalties, but
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm not going to.
I mean, you've got to score the pens. You've got to score the pens. So, I mean, as much as we slander Bruno, he does score the pens as well. So, yeah, Vardy for that performance away at Man City. I think that was September, so a very early one. But, yeah, for me, he was absolutely fantastic that day. Now, best signing. There's something, a late category we added in. But it was a good shout from Lewis, actually, so good for that. I've gone with Edinson Cavani. Now, when he signed, I think we all thought it was a bit of a desperate move. And obviously the rivals of Man United, Liverpool, probably bought in a better player in Thiago Alcantara. And obviously it's been the complete opposite, not only for the individual players, but for the teams as well and how their seasons have gone. Now, it took him a while to get to full fitness, but recently he's been, absolutely superb. I think something to pick up on is his attacking movement. Now, I don't know if you saw that goal against Aston Villa away, little glancing header, but I think that probably sums up just how good he is in and around that sort of 6-8 yards away from goal. And again, Man United do have a lot of attacking players, but like Man City, they didn't quite have that vocal point up front. And he's filled that hole brilliantly. Obviously, they tried quick fixes. Agallo was one of them. They've played. I think they've tried Martial up there. Greenwood's been up there. Rashford from time to time, and nobody's really quite fit that out and out striking position. But for me, Cavani, in terms of a team crying out for a player, I think he's been the perfect signing for Man United this year. Lewis, have you gone with?
Well, first of all, an honourable mention for Vladimir Coufal, 5.4 million from Slavia Prague. And to be honest, if it wasn't for Kyle Walker or Cancelo, whoever you could have it right back in your team this season, one of them two, it probably would be Coufal or Coufal. I think he's been quality. We mentioned him earlier about Souček, but so yeah, as an honourable mention for him because I think he has been really good. But I'm actually going to go with a strange one again. I like throwing in different ones. And my signing of the season is another Man United player.
Okay.
And it's Alex Telles.
Yeah.
Now, you might think, what is he on about?
No, I know exactly what you're going to say here.
But the reason is...
What are you on about?
Because if it wasn't for Man United signing Alex Telles, Luke Shaw would not have become the player he's become. I think he's basically saved Luke Shaw's career because Luke Shaw was going nowhere, to be honest. A year ago, we spoke about it in the Euros podcast episode last week. He wouldn't have been anywhere near the England squad this time last year.
No.
And now he's going to be England's first choice over Ben Chilwell, who left Chelsea for 50 million. So that says it all, really. If it wasn't for Telles came in, I think, to be a starter at Man United. They wanted a left back because Luke Shaw wasn't doing it, and Luke Shaw has turned into the reliable left back. And to be honest, he plays every game when he can. He didn't play all the games this week. Not many people did. But he's just turned up to a different level. Yeah. And if they didn't sign Telles, that would not have happened. It's been better for England and for Man United and for Luke Shaw's career at Man United. So that is why I've gone with a slightly left field decision on Alex Telles.
It is another interesting one, but you're absolutely
spot on again. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, like me. I rushed mine. I can tell you had a genuine think about these. I think if you're going to look at someone who's had a real impact on a team, then in a strange way, it is Telles, because Luke Shaw has been fantastic for Man United this year down that left-hand side, not only defensively but also attacking.
I will add, I haven't actually been that impressed with Telles when I've seen him, which has also helped Shaw's cause because Solskjaer feels like he has to play him, but he's been fit for most of the season, and that's been a problem before, and he's been very good. So
I don't disagree with you, Lewis. I think that to some extent that probably has helped Luke Shaw, but I think also credit to the player himself, because I think he's obviously sorted himself out and he doesn't frequent at McDonald's anymore.
He couldn't when he had a backup brought him for 30
I think he's got Telles eating his Mackies, I think. No, but I think you're right. I think it's a good point. We talked about earlier, competition breeds quality. So I think it's a good one. But I think also Luke Shaw probably deserves slightly a little bit more credit than that for maybe turning around his Man United career.
You've gone with someone we've already talked about as well.
Yeah, I've gone with Martinez. I won't talk about him too much. I just think he's been a massive thing for Villa to bring in this year, and they had quite a few different keepers last year, Nyland and Rayner. Obviously, Tom Heaton's been out injured a lot. I think he's linked with Man United, which would be interesting. But yeah, look, I think Martinez has been great for Villa. Yeah.
Yep. No, absolutely. But I'm going to stand my ground with this. I'm still going to stick with Cavani. He's been brilliant. Lewis, you going to
disagree?
Okay.
I don't agree. Maybe not Telles.
Yeah.
I'll go with Martinez over Cavani, in my opinion.
Really? Okay.
But I think Telles has helped massively for Shaw. Well,
okay.
For Luke Shaw, not for Shaw, but
go on.
But I would go Martinez ahead of Cavani.
Okay, well, that's 2-1. So Martinez does win that, and to be honest, it has been a good sign for Villa. Big loss for Arsenal, and after Villa struggling with,
you pay a lot more these days for a goalie that good than 20 million, and they got him for 20 million. So
absolutely, well, yeah, 100%. I mean, I think they were messing around with people like Nyland towards the back end of last season, so it's been a real step up for them. Yeah. Right, we'll move on then. The most surprising team. Now, I've got two down here because I really can't separate these two.
You've taken it the same way as me, remember?
I think, yeah.
With the most surprising player.
I think on the spot, I've got to go with Sheffield United. I mean, West Ham, my other team, they've been obviously brilliant, but after last season, I mean, I know there's been a lot of mention around second season syndrome, but I did not expect Sheffield United to take that much of a plummet. It might have been a mixture of a few reasons. I think one of the big reasons would have been losing Dean Henderson to Man United again. And now, I mean, a lot of people probably would disagree and say that probably didn't have too much of an effect, but I really do believe it did. They had someone that come in, quite a young goalkeeper, someone who maybe is one for the future, but he's got back-to-back relegation on his CV now at Ramsdale, and he really struggled for Sheffield United. Overall, I've been very disappointed with what they've done this year. I think they got to an FA Cup quarter-final last year, finished in the top half. It was a great year. I think they were going to build on that, and it's all going downhill for them. So yeah, I've gone with the same way you've gone.
Well, I'm gonna go Sheffield United as well then. I had them down straight away because how good they were last year. People were even talking about top four. They didn't quite make that last year. Do you think? I think Anthony Egan. I think he got injured quite early in the season. Was it Anthony Egan or O'Connell or one of the two? I can't remember. I'm not an expert on their defence.
I think it was John Egan.
Yeah, I've never met Anthony.
Who's Anthony Egan? I don't know who Anthony Egan is. John Egan. That's the one. John Egan getting injured.
Yeah.
Probably mucked them up because of the way they overlap all that weird way that Wilder played. I think last season they kept most of their players fit, and that was a massive blow early on.
Yeah, I think just piping on the Sheffield United one, I'm just looking at their fixtures, their results, sorry, at the end of last season when they were obviously with no fans. And
I was about to say, did that have an impact?
see, their last 3 home games, or last 4 home games, they beat Spurs, Wolverhampton Wanderers, beat Chelsea 3-0, and then lost to Everton. So having no fans probably hasn't really changed much there, because there's 3 good results. No. And if you go back a couple of results further, which might have been just on the cusp of no fans. No, that was they had 3 home games with no fans.
Yeah.
Or 4, sorry, they won 3. So I don't buy into that as much as maybe we probably spoke about in the past. But for me, Liverpool is the biggest surprise.
Okay.
A team that I thought were going to run away with the Premier League again this year.
Mm-hmm.
For the quality that they had and what they did last year and the manager they had. I was adamant that they would, well, at least put up a title fight and a defence of their title. Obviously, we've seen neither of them. We've seen a very disappointing season, although I think they probably will make the top 4 now.
You think?
I think they will, because watching them last night, they were very good. I think they've got 3 favourable games. Chelsea and Leicester got to play each other. So I think that they've got a really good chance now of making the top 4. But which would be a remarkable turnaround from where they were. But I think, I think this. If you look at Liverpool season as Premier League season as a whole and where they are or where they've been in the league, was it 6 games in a row they lost at Anfield? Ridiculous.
Unheard of.
So for me, that's the surprise of the season.
Yep. No, I mean, that's another good shout, to be honest. I think on the basis of a 2-1, I think we'll go with Sheffield United for this one. But again, Liverpool very surprising.
The only thing I'd say on Sheffield United is a second season syndrome, which a lot of promoted clubs have. So for me, that wasn't as much a surprise. Do they have a Premier League squad? I'd probably say no. They've got some really good Championship players, but so for me that wasn't much of a surprise.
But I do.
But after how they did last year. But actually, you could look back in plenty of times. I can think off the top of my head, Reading finished 8th next year, relegated. Even go back to 2002, Ipswich Town got in the then was UEFA Cup in their first season, finished 6th next year, relegated. Yeah. So
happens.
I think it's a regular thing.
I've never really been one to believe in the second season syndrome, but I think Sheffield United have just proved that what I think is wrong. So yeah. Cheers for that wrestling. Right, Sheffield United, I think will probably take that for me quite comfortably anyway. Right, we'll move on then. Most entertaining team. Again,
Arsenal.
No.
Well, for the neutral, anyone who doesn't like Arsenal, which I think is the other 19
playing
teams.
against Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. Leeds United sprang to mind straight away. Erratic form, but we've talked about how Bielsa is getting the best out of maybe predominantly a championship squad with a few shining lights, maybe like a Bamford, Rafinha, Jack Harrison on the left has been excellent again for Leeds. But yeah, goals are flowing whenever they play, whether it's in their own goal or in the opposition's. So yeah, for me, I love watching them. Most entertaining team by far, Matt.
Yeah, I don't necessarily buy into the Leeds thing as much. I know at the beginning of the season they had results where they were, I think the opening day they beat Fulham 4-3, and they've had some results that have been a bit crazy, but I don't think so of late. I think they do play good football, and they're certainly always open at the back. For me, you can't look further than Man City. It is a bit boring, I guess, but they certainly have the best players. The run of however many wins in a row through the Christmas period and the New Year that put them to the top of the league. There's not much more sort of entertaining than that. When you've got the best players, you can even watching them in the Champions League against the likes of PSG and the quality they got. Yeah. Watching the likes of De Bruyne and Mahrez, Foden, all players that we mentioned, Bernardo Silva, the real quality that they can put in, week out.
Now that's an interesting one because I live with someone who doesn't like watching Man City, don't find them too entertaining at all, and thinks they're too much of a passy sideways team. But maybe that's just because they just lack the vocal point up top. But for me, Man City, I love watching them as well. To be honest with you, Lewis.
Well, I think we're watching Man City right now, and
Yeah.
it's half time. It's 2-2. Now, defensively, that maybe haven't been great, but
Yeah.
it's 2-2 at half time. It's been a great game of football,
Yeah.
and we've seen some great goals.
Yeah.
We've seen some good attacking
think-
play,
yeah.
maybe some not so good defending as
Yeah.
we're just
I
watching on
think,
the screen. So that is we say for Leeds, and there's
Yeah.
always goals in their games, but look at this.
Well,
Man City.
Ferran Torres has just scored a filthy little flick over Dubravka, so that was nice to see. Lewis, you've agreed with me on this one.
It's got to be Leeds. Not because they're the most entertaining team. I think they produce the most entertaining games.
Yep. Okay.
Sometimes. When they play against the big teams, they've actually done really well at home. They've barely let in a goal. I don't think they've lost to any of the top teams at home.
Yeah, I think
Is that
you're
right?
I think you're right.
I know Arsenal drew their 0-0, and to be honest,
God, what a boring game
Arsenal
that was.
kept a clean sheet. Yeah, Arsenal kept a clean sheet.
Drew 1-1.
I mean, the surprising thing is Arsenal kept a clean sheet, and the other team didn't. We didn't score against them when they were leaking goals, and we were down to 10. I think Arsenal that day.
Yeah. Pepe.
But it has to be them. I always think back to a game earlier in the season, which was one of my favourites of the season, was Leeds when they beat Fulham 4-3 at home.
Yeah. That was a great game, wasn't it?
There was 7 goals in the first 67 minutes.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
I remember the commentator saying at 4-3, oh, there's going to be some more goals in it. Obviously, it ended up being no more goals in it, but it was unbelievable entertaining game. And that just showed what Leeds can be when they are at the entertaining best.
100%.
I'll just throw another one out there. Just a quick mention for West Ham.
Yeah,
And I did think about West Ham, and I'm now looking for the fixtures. I mean, to the end of January and February, they had a 3-2, a 3-1, another 3-1. Then most recently, they had a 3-3 with Arsenal. They then won 3-2 at Wolves. They then beat Leicester 3-2. They then lost 3-2 at Newcastle, all in a row. If that's not entertainment in games, I don't know what it is. And to be fair to West Ham, we talked about the game at Burnley the other week where the front four were frightening, and Burnley got away with a 2-1 where I think Antonio probably missed 3 from a yard. Ben Rama should have scored a couple, and they've been real entertainers. And I think Alf's going to come on to West Ham a bit later, but they've had some. They've done exceptionally well this year. They've probably been obviously been a big surprise this year.
Yes.
But what and they've done it in an entertaining way, with some real good quality attacking.
Yep. No, absolutely. I mean, West Ham have put on a lot of entertaining games. I can think of one. Arsenal obviously drew 3-3 there, and I think West Ham were 3-0 up inside 35 minutes. So, I mean, from a West Ham perspective, that wasn't a great game, but from a neutral and an Arsenal fan, not a bad game actually. But yeah, I mean, I think Leeds do win that. I think on the basis of there's always goals in those games, obviously apart from the Arsenal game, which was a bit anticlimactic. But yeah, Leeds and an honourable mention for Man City as well. They've been excellent this year, and I always love watching them play.
I think the thing with Leeds is actually at the beginning of the season, everyone said, well, they can't keep playing this expansive way and the Bielsa way because they're in the Premier League. They're just going to get beat every week. And what are that? All right, they have taken some hidings. I think they're 6-2 at Man United.
But they've given them out as well.
But they've also played well in a lot of games, and they've been comfortable this year in the Premier League, and I'd imagine they'll continue to be a comfortable Premier League side going forward.
Yep. I mean, hopefully, because Leeds are one of those bigger clubs, so it'd be nice to see him.
Notable mention, just really for a previous category, just quickly.
Go on.
Rafinha is one of the signings of the season as well. He's not been great the whole season, but I think for the price they got him for, relatively cheap.
Another one from the French league as well.
He'll go for a lot more if they wanted to sell him in the next year or two, I think.
Farmers League.
I think though that's another great example of the recruitment at Leeds has been very good this year. I mean, you look at Pepe a year before was bought for 72 million. I think Rafinha was bought for under 20 million, and he's had 10 times the impact that Pepe has had at Arsenal. So I think that really sums it up for me. No,
I think Pepe is used too easily as an example. I think he never set the price. I think Arsenal was scammed by a Nigerian scammer for that one.
Really, right. It'd be interesting to get some more insight into that. But yeah, I mean, he scored a great goal against West Brom on the weekend. But other than that,
Open up a dodgy email, did they?
right. Well, last category then, because I'm aware we've gone on a bit here, but hopefully you can stick with us. Is the best manager now?
Arteta.
Right.
Jose, I think.
Yeah.
Ryan Mason.
Yeah, from our point of view, Jose's been pretty good. But David Moyes, I think he was a bit of a laughing stock when he was at United. But as he proved when he was at Everton, and he's proved it again in his last couple of years, but especially this year at West Ham, he's an excellent manager, an excellent coach. I think Phil Neville actually talks quite a lot about him in a podcast I listened to, just saying, the trust that he puts in his players, the trust that he put in him as a coach to come in and take sessions, and I think that really sums up what he's done at West Ham this year, trusting a few of the younger players, and is also his recruitment, like we've talked about. It's been absolutely excellent, and it's really pleasing to see him doing well, because at Everton he was a solid coach, solid manager, and he got some good finishes. And obviously West Ham 16th place last year and up in 5th place at the moment with 2 games to go. It's been an unbelievable turnaround, so full credit to David Moyes. I think he's the obvious candidate for this one.
You got to remember as well, he was West Ham manager before.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And left and gone back there, and certainly wasn't fans' favourite and one they wanted, and it was really bought around the fans, and they've been superb this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, someone coming back on a second stint. We've seen it at Watford with, who was it that came back at Watford?
Sanchez Flores,
yeah, and obviously that didn't go too well. I think it was.
I think they often say don't go back, didn't they? And that actually that second time doesn't work.
Yeah.
But David Moyes proving that actually, it does.
He's broken the trend. Yeah. Lewis, who have you gone with?
Well, I remember Matt earlier said about Edouard Mendy. Sorry, not Benjamin Mendy. He doesn't play in goal. Edouard Mendy.
But who was it? There was someone recently called him Benjamin and not Edward.
Was it?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was all over social media. It was someone. It was either a journalist or a manager called him Benjamin Mendy.
Right.
I can't remember, but
might be you.
I've gone with Thomas Tuchel, and the fact that if he goes on to win the Champions League and FA Cup, you can't really look past him because he only came in January. But the impact he's made since Lampard came in,
Premmy Awards,
he's taken him up from 9th to well in the top 4. All right, the Arsenal loss the other day really has thrown a cat amongst the pigeons with regards to the top 4, and they could still miss out when it really, a couple of weeks ago, didn't look like it would. And if they beat Arsenal, that would have been basically done.
Yep. If I can just quickly jump in, I mean, we're doing the Premier League. You've talked about the FA Cup and the Champions League. Full credit to that. I mean, you've been excellent since he's come in January in the league as well. But let's take the FA Cup and Champions League out.
They were 9th under Lampard.
Okay.
When he was sacked in January,
no, absolutely,
they brought him in, and
spot
now
on,
they could finish 3rd if they beat Leicester on Tuesday.
Yeah, sure.
And the fact United have lost 2 in a row, they could end up finishing 2nd if they win the last few games.
Be some effort, wouldn't it?
United slip up again. So I agree with you with Moyes, but I wanted to go different. So I've gone with Tuchel because of the impact he's made since he came in.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, he's like I said, he's been excellent for them. 9th up to 4th place now, and looking like a Champions League. Let's forget Champions League actually. Looking like a top 4 finish. It's been a great season. Matt.
I've gone with a manager who's probably the most sought after manager. I think it certainly would be Spurs' number 1 target. I think if Arsenal were to lose Mikel Arteta, that'd probably be their number 1 target. And that's Brendan Rodgers. I think just the.
Don't mention the FA Cup. You're not allowed.
No, I'm going to mention the FA Cup. But I think if the consistency that they've had as a team. We look at last year where they faded at the end, and he got a little, Leicester got a little bit of stick there because they fell away. But they did have a great season last year, and the consistency to go again and recruit well in the summer, and players have really stepped up, like Iheanacho, where maybe Vardy hasn't. And you look at some of their results. They won away at Arsenal, they won away at Man United, they won at Spurs, they won at Man City. We talked about the 5-2. They beat Chelsea at home, Liverpool, Spurs at home. They're in the FA Cup final, but I'm not allowed to say. But where they obviously beat Man United in the quarterfinal. So, the consistency and the quality against the top teams, I think they are. Well, they might. I think they will make the top 4. I think it's still obviously they've got 2 tough games: Chelsea in the week and Spurs.
Liverpool win all their games. Liverpool are in it.
Yeah.
So Leicester have to play Chelsea.
So but I mean, Leicester had 3 tough games, albeit they played Man United's reserves, but they desperately needed to win that game after losing to Newcastle. But I think Brendan Rodgers, I think, has been outstanding. I think when he went up to Celtic and he won things with Celtic, all people are always going to put little asterisks by him because it is Celtic. But since he's been down with Leicester, he's been brilliant. I don't think they've ever won the FA Cup, so if he wins the FA Cup tomorrow, which I think they've got as good a chance as anyone on a one-off game.
How dare you mention that?
But I say, if they make the top 4, they've broken the mould.
Yep.
I know they were in the Champions League once they won the league, but they've broken the mould,
Mm.
and they fully deserve to be there.
I mean, I thought it was going to be a bit of a, with forgetting about Rodgers, I thought Leicester was going to be a bit of a one-season thing. Obviously, in the Champions League, I think they might have got to the quarterfinals in that, but they've managed to sort of cement that place towards the top of the league. Brendan Rodgers, again, another fantastic year. Obviously, they fell away last year and sort of bottled it, really. But this year, I think, well, it's a tough run-in, but I back him to get that top four, whether it's in third or fourth, I'm not quite sure.
Are we saying it's either them or Chelsea? Because
It-
I believe Liverpool will win their last 3 games.
If Liverpool win their last 3 games, it's either Liverpool, either Chelsea or Leicester. That's the way it is.
What points are Liverpool on? Anyone know?
It's the fact that because Chelsea and Leicester play each other,
Someone
has to drop points.
Right.
So Liverpool win all 3.
Is that
They will finish in
Chelsea?
top 4, whatever happens.
Is that Chelsea? as
So
well,
would a
isn't
draw
it?
be the worst result for Liverpool, maybe?
No,
Because they both gain points.
no, because they both dropped.
Liverpool have to win all 3 games, and they are in it.
Yeah, right. They've got a game in hand. Yeah.
I think Leicester got the harder games. They got played.
They got
Spurs
Tottenham.
on the last day.
Yeah.
Although that's probably a gimme.
I think for me, looking at this, a win for Leicester in those last 2 games cements their place.
We'll
I
see
think-
Mason Ball in its full flow.
Yeah. Right. Let's get back onto it then. Best manager.
It's got to be David Moyes.
Moyes,
isn't it,
yeah,
I think?
Yeah.
I think so.
I think they've been outstanding.
Yeah. I think David Moyes is fair. Right. And that. Well, it's been quite a long conversation, this, but I've really enjoyed it, to be honest. It's been highlighting some of the players, managers' moments that maybe I've forgotten over the season. So it's been good. The Premiers. And I'll quickly recap them before we go on to the scout, and then obviously the iconic Matt versus to finish off. So best goalkeeper was Emi Martinez, best defender Ruben Diaz, best midfielder Bruno Fernandes, best attacker Harry Kane, best young player under 21 Phil Foden, most surprising player Emil Smith-Rowe, best individual performance Jamie Vardy, best signing Emi Martinez again, so he takes another category, most surprising team Sheffield United, most entertaining team Leeds, and best manager David Moyes. Right, that just about finishes that one then. We'll move on to the scout. Now, as ever, I'll do a quick reference to last week. Now, I said Saka. He had a decent game for Arsenal, very threatening down the left-hand side. Assist for the first goal, lovely volley to his under-21 teammate, Emil Smith-Rowe. Matt, you went with Vardy. Leicester were embarrassed at home to Newcastle, so not much to say about that. But Vardy did get an assist,
He got an
actually.
assist, yeah.
Yeah, so, not bad. Lou said Matt Ryan. He didn't play.
He didn't concede any goals.
No, well, he's spot on.
3 Arsenal games, no goals conceded from Matt Ryan.
On that basis, I think you get the win for this one. No, I think Saka was excellent this week. So
I think he didn't actually make the squad. Not only did he not play, he didn't make the squad.
interesting.
Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Matt Ryan. No, he came back in for I think Chelsea away the other day.
Oh, that's a great shout from you at the weekend. Then.
No, he did well. He did well.
Right. We'll crack on then. Last week, for me, Patrick Bamford got a goal in that 3-1 win over Spurs at Ellen Road. Very impressed with his all-round game. And like I said, this year he's been brilliant. So for me, quite a straightforward choice. Matt.
Yeah, I've gone with Smith Rowe, someone that I've obviously lobbied for the other categories that we've done in our Premmy Awards.
Yes.
But goal against West Brom, and obviously the winning goal, albeit in farcical circumstances against Chelsea. But something that probably Arsenal fans say he needs to start adding more to his game, which is the goal. So 2 goals in 2 games. It's good week for him.
Yeah. I think there was a stat before the Newcastle game that I think Arsenal midfielders only contributed to 3 of the goals, and that was on par or just lower than Sheffield United. But obviously since then we've had El Neni and Smith Rowe that have contributed. So yeah, that's a big plus. Lewis.
Mason Greenwood. He scored the 2nd goal against Villa. Great finish, turning Tyrone Mings, as if he wasn't there.
It's a great goal.
It's embarrassing, really, it was for Mings, for a guy to turn him like that.
Yes.
Martinez maybe could have done better. We've given him 2 awards tonight, and he maybe could have done better with the shot.
Yep.
And then he scored the equaliser as well for the depleted United team against Leicester. Obviously, they went on to lose the game, but they were great finishes, both of them. And he nearly grabbed one actually against Liverpool last night at the back post.
Yeah.
A couple of blocks, I think, from Nat Phillips. So I'm going to go with Greenwood.
Yeah. Good shout.
Very impressive.
Good shout. I mean, I think you said, was it last week, you'd have Greenwood in that England squad as someone that could score a goal as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. Good. Okay, upcoming week, I've gone with DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
He's home to Sheffield United. I think anyone at home to Sheffield United that has a striker in their team is probably a good shout for the scout from now on anyway.
It's former club, isn't it, I think?
Is it? Okay.
I think he came from there.
Well, it's another great opportunity for him to get some goals against obviously a depleted, relegated side. So yeah, obvious shout for me. Matt?
Yeah, got me Mo Salah. We just talked about Liverpool must-win games. West Brom, relegated West Brom away. And I don't think we can forget that he's level with Harry Kane as the top scorer in the league. The goal he scored last night, right at the end, where Dean Henderson just moved out the way of the goal and let him score.
What was he doing?
But yeah, look, he's on 21 goals, the same as Harry Kane. So he'll have, certainly the first thought will be get Liverpool in the top 4, which 3 wins will probably do.
Yeah.
But actually, he can win the Golden Boot, and for
Yeah.
a player who probably people say, oh, he hasn't done that well this year, and because they're looking at Liverpool, he's well on course to win the Golden Boot.
Wait, he's level with Harry Kane at the moment. I think that. Did you say that?
I did just say that.
Sorry,
yeah.
I wasn't. Sorry, I was watching the football there.
I didn't say it once. I said it twice.
Yeah. Did you? Oh God. Okay. Sorry, I completely switched off.
To be fair, he's got a chance because he's level with Harry Kane.
Is he?
Yeah.
How many have they got? They've both got 21, have they?
It's reminiscent of the early days there.
If he scores against West Brom, he'll be on 22.
Oh, right, okay.
Bloody hell, that'll be good, but it. Yeah. Right.
Right.
Um.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. I've completely forgot what I was going to say now. Yeah,
Go to
but
me. It's my turn now.
Yeah. Go on then. Go on.
Right,
Lewis.
well, the way our scout goes is normally whoever we say does really badly. So I've gone with Gareth Bale in the hope that he doesn't do very well. They've got 2 games coming up before our next podcast. They've got home against Villa, Wolves and Villa.
To finish the season then.
And they've got 3 games.
Oh, okay.
They've got 3 left.
Okay.
This weekend, midweek, and then obviously finish the season. They've got 2 home games. I said Wolves and Villa. It could be his last 2 home games as a Spurs player.
We want to finish well then.
And he'll want to finish the season well.
You've got to remember,
And possibly his Spurs career well.
if he's got golf on, he won't be playing.
No, true.
Yeah.
But,
Golf, Spurs, Madrid.
maybe.
Oh no, Wales, Golf, Spurs, Madrid, in that order, yeah. Right, okay. That's enough rambling. We'll go on then, as ever, to the Matt versus. Now, I've called it Matt versus, but to be honest, we've had Lou on for 3 weeks now. I think it's more like Matt v Lou. So we'll get on to the questions again. As ever, I've set you up with some lovely buzzers. Matt, you can play yours whenever you want.
Okay.
Yep, obviously Man City have just clinched the lead this
What
week.
goal
so
was that?
I think that was fitting.
All right, what have I got? Let's have a look.
Allardyce, you're a disgrace.
That's Ty after Sam Allardyce getting relegated at the Emirates Stadium. I think he was very pleased about that. Right, we'll get into question number 1 then, and this is all based around. So it's Premier League trivia. 10 questions as we usually do, and a penalty just been awarded to Newcastle, so I'll commentate on that when we get to it. Question number 1: which team has made the most passes this season? As Lewis is trying to click it. Not sure what happened there, Lewis. What happened with that?
Is yours the same like me? You have to flick it back to the beginning. Like from the bottom. Manchester City.
I pressed it so many times.
Yeah,
It's Man
I was
City.
watching him. It is Man City. Yeah.
I should have guessed.
Unlucky.
You're a cheat. Yeah.
You sort this out, Alf.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Look,
Technical
we
problems.
will get it sorted. Obviously, Matt has just taken the lead there. 1-0 of Man City. Joe Willock's taking the penalty. God, that's a surprise.
It wasn't a great. Joe Willock's. Joe Linton's just scored one. I don't understand.
Because you know which ways he's going to go now.
He's going to miss, I think, Joe Willock. To be fair.
Okay, we'll get on to question. We'll get
what's
on
he
to question 2 then. Which club have made the most tackles this season? Tough one, this one. I appreciate.
Allardyce, you're a disgrace.
Yeah, Lewis.
Burnley.
Incorrect. And Matt, before you do answer, I just want to... Willock's penalty saved! Rebound goal! Willock, great to see. Got a goal. Okay.
Another goal. Not another
Scott
one.
Carson with a penalty save. Well done, mate. Anyone who's got him in his FPL team for some reason, that'd be a great shout.
He's on your bench.
But he's
Bench
let
boost.
in 3. He has let in 3.
Right, Matt. Lewis said Burnley, I think, didn't you?
Yeah. Leeds United.
God, he's got it.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
How is
Bielsa ball.
What a shout.
Work hard to get that ball back.
Yep. 2-0 to Matt then.
Should be 1-1 really. But, you know.
It should be. I'm sorry, Lewis.
What a
We
terrible
will sort.
pen.
I'll definitely sort that out for you at some point.
Oh, I need to go back again. Hold on.
I know.
Sorry,
Right.
this buzzer.
Get preps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Question number 3. Harry Kane has hit the woodwork the most times this season. How many?
It's a complete guess.
Go
I'm
on.
going to say 9.
Oh, so close, but no.
Well, I was before he said 9. I was going to go 8.
Well, that's incorrect.
Oh, that's good.
It was close. It was 7.
Oh. Okay, well, that's a hard
Matt, I
question.
actually
now.
probably threw him off the scent there by saying it was so close. 'Cause he was
Did
going to
you?
go one
I
either
don't
way.
know, I don't know.
All right. Okay. So it's still 2-0 to Matt after 3 questions. Then question 4: Which player has played the most minutes this season? That's Matt.
Emi Martinez.
No.
Who's played more than him then? It's got to be a
Well, it has to be a goalie. Are you talking about outfielders? We're talking about goalies.
Talking about players. So is goalkeeper a player? I think they are.
3-0.
All right. Well, I'll go with Aaron Ramsdale.
No, it's Leicester City's Kasper Schmeichel.
Oh,
How was he? Well, he's played in every minute of every game.
Yeah.
has no one else done that?
So, Man City aren't the best, most entertaining team. It's currently 3-0
No, I know.
after
We've
an
watched
hour.
this whole game. It's
I know,
been
but
good,
they've
hasn't
got Ake and Garcia playing at the back. That's why they've let him
Yeah.
free.
So,
Any other game, any other day,
Who
it'd be
have
free.
Newcastle got the pack?
Any other day, it'd be 3-0.
No, because Edison might not save that penalty from Joe Willett.
it? Two goals for Ferran Torres. Fair play. So that is still 2-0 after 4 questions. Number 5, Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold are first and second for the most crosses this season.
Allardyce, you're a disgrace.
Haven't read the question out yet. But who has the most? I mean, Lewis has buzzed in already.
First and second. Oh, out of the 2.
Yeah, I mean, you've buzzed in quite well there because that's quite an easy question, actually.
So,
It's 50.
so if he gets it wrong,
it's 50-50.
do I get to guess?
Yeah, you get it, yeah.
Oh my!
Lewis, you sort of done yourself in there, really.
Well, not really. You'd rather
I
get.
haven't. I've got a guess.
Well, go on then.
No, it's obvious, the answer.
Okay.
But
Go on then.
then I think I might be wrong.
Oh, this is difficult, isn't it?
So I'm going to go with Andy Robertson.
No.
Oh, I knew I was going to go Trent.
I don't
gonna-
know. I'm not sure. I think it's Trent. Is it Trent?
It might well be.
I was going to go Trent.
3,
but I thought,
yeah.
well, the fact that Andy Robertson takes
I need to get a healthy lead because he always gets down on the last.
Robertson takes set
Robertson with 262, Trent with 263.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Is
So
this
close.
after last night's game as well?
Yeah.
Are
It
you
was
sure?
updated stats.
Oh, I knew it was
Oh.
close. I knew it. I knew it wasn't far.
Yeah, did them this morning.
Oh,
Yeah, so very,
sure,
very
there was
good.
one that didn't count last night. Robertson's.
Right, so that's Matt. You're 3-0 up. Lewis,
Ah.
we've obviously got the who am I at the end.
But it
So
was 2-1 because
there's
I
al-
got the
there-
first one, but the buzzer didn't work.
yeah, all right, okay.
I like it.
Right. Okay, which team have scored the most goals from outside the box?
I know who's got the least.
Go on.
At least is Arsenal. I think.
Allardyce, you're a disgrace.
It was Lewis. Lewis got in there. Go on.
Oh, there's another goal for Man City.
Is that for hat trick?
Yeah, Ferran Torres hat-trick, 4-3 to City.
Not
What a game this
entertaining
is.
at all.
That
Man
should
City.
hopefully count as an assist for Cancelo, even though he come off the post. We'll take that for fantasy football. I'm going to go Manchester United.
No.
Okay, I'm not very good
Just
at this.
quickly, this is a candidate for game of the season, by the way.
Yeah, but that wasn't running the awards, so
No. Why not?
No, it wasn't.
we'll have that at the end.
Yeah, right. Go on,
Most goals from outside the box scored
Thomas Partey.
by
Most converted tries by Thomas Partey this year.
yeah, it's Manchester City.
You just say that?
I said United.
No. Well, right. Okay. No, it's not. It's Leeds. Leeds.
Oh, Leeds!
Leeds well out on top with 12.
Oh, God.
Do they? Oh.
So it's still
Still
3-0
3-0.
after 6 questions.
Oh,
then.
is this a struggle? I need to get this. I need to get back.
Got
Okay.
at least one right.
Name any 3 of the 11 players to score a hat-trick this season.
Allardyce,
It wasn't him.
Any 3?
Vardy, Iheanacho, and Ollie Watkins.
Oh,
Yep, you got it
There
very
we
easy.
go.
Obviously, 11.
Do I get 3 for
11
that,
to
yeah?
go for. There's one there. Right, okay. And one that I forgot about was Aubameyang. He actually got one at home to Newcastle, I think.
Chris Wood, Woody.
What a great game that was. Game of the season.
performance of the season, wasn't
Right.
it? Right.
What's the score now? How many
It's
questions?
3-1 after 7.
Oh, well, I'm in this. I'm still
Yeah.
in this. I'll take that.
We're still going. If you're with us, drop us a little direct message with an emoji I'll put out, because it was quite some effort if you're still with us. I appreciate it could be a bit boring.
I'm not with us at the minute.
Question 8.
It's just turned up.
Who is the oldest player to play in the Premier League this year? Go on.
I know it.
Fernandinho.
No!
No.
Allardyce,
Your disgrace. Phil Jagielka.
No.
Oh!
He's so confident. I love the fact you're confident you got
What
it wrong.
is Phil Jagielka?
It's not. It's Willie Caballero.
Oh,
has he
played?
played?
Played one game.
Oh, you're
Willie,
kidding
my
me.
mate. Big Willie.
Phil Jagielka's the oldest outfielder by miles.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
No.
Willie played.
I looked. Yep. He played a game 2 days before his 39th birthday, but still at 38 he was the oldest.
Stunning. Right,
Kidding
so
me.
how many left now?
It's
2
3-1 after 8 questions.
So 9, 10. Oh.
Yes. So Lewis, you do seem to find yourself in this position quite
I
regularly.
know, but Jagielka was
Yeah.
uncertain.
That was a great shout, to be honest.
I like it.
Right, question 9. Which 2 players, joint, have made the most passes this season?
Allardyce, your disgrace.
Passes together to each other.
Well, they've both made the same amount of passes.
Oh.
Yeah, because he's seen this on Sky Sports News. So have I. And one of them is Rodri.
Yep.
And now the other one, I think, also plays for Man City. But I'm struggling to think who it is. And I'll probably make myself look an idiot. I'm going to say João Cancelo.
No.
Oh.
But Matt, you can't answer this because we've already established Rodri was one of the answers. It was. I didn't see this on Sky Sports actually. I looked it up on FPL. It was Ruben Diaz.
Oh,
Joined
no.
on 2,566
I
passes.
knew-
Now, this is before the game we were watching
I
right
knew
now
it,
because we
I-
can't get the stats from this.
Yeah, but
I
So-
knew it was a defender. And I thought,
Yeah.
Cancelo's playing though, isn't he?
he might have overtaken tonight.
he-
He's passed at least 3,000
Yeah.
passes tonight.
Right. Okay. So it's still 3-1.
Oh,
Heading
come-
into
it's a-
this question again. And Matt,
Alf,
you love to
can
tell
you
your-
state the rules, please?
the rules for this.
Going into this question.
Well, I mean, Lewis, you know the rules, don't you? No? Do anyone know the rules for this? I can't really
That's
remember
your quiz. You got to
what we said.
decide.
So it's 4 clues.
Okay.
If yes, is that right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
If you get it on the first one, you get 4 points.
Exactly.
Second
yeah.
one, you get 3.
Usual point system.
Okay. If you make a guess, the other person can guess on that clue. After that, clues are reset.
Okay.
The guesses are reset. Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
So
That's
if
fine.
I have
mate.
a guess on the first one, Lewis is entitled to one, if he wants.
Yep.
And then
I think
once
he
we
will.
go to the next clue, we can both guess again.
I think that's the best way to do it.
Yep.
He loves
yeah.
his buzzer, doesn't he?
He's his mate Martin. He loves
So
it.
you might as well guess on each one.
You might as well.
You might as well,
I think for Lewis.
I might as well.
I think you're gonna have to.
Last week I got it on the second one, didn't I?
Yeah.
Last week,
And
or third
you
one?
took the win. Yeah.
I hate these ones.
Right,
This
okay,
is not
here we go
my
then.
one.
Who am I? I made my debut in the Premier League on the 13th of September 2008 in a home defeat for Manchester City.
Can you guess what was the date again?
13th of September 2008.
Robinho.
No. Lewis
Allardyce,
gets the
your disgrace.
down to put the buzzer on if you don't want to.
Van Sang Company.
No.
No. Right. Okay.
Couple of good guesses though. It's about the right time, wasn't it? Right, second clue then. Lewis, you're going to need this, I think, for the win.
Score.
It's 3-1, but obviously you get 3 points for this, so it would make it 4-3.
Right, we'll take a tiebreaker.
Yeah. I played 13 seasons in the Premier League, only scoring 9 times.
Zabaleta.
Yes, Pablo Zabaleta.
Oh my
Brilliant. I mean, fair play, Matt, because
Where's he plucked that from?
I think if
Do
I
you know
read
how
you
to score a tiebreaker?
my next 2 clues, I think the third one would have been the most obvious one. It was I scored in Man City's 3-2 win against QPR in 2012. Now I think,
Aguero, we just said that. We heard that a few times.
Dzeko, wasn't it?
yeah, I mean, Dzeko and Aguero didn't make their debuts in 2008. So, Matt, I got to hand you 2 again. That was bloody excellent.
Well, when you
Fair
said
play.
they hadn't scored many, it was clearly a defender.
Yep, no, well,
And he wasn't around for a long
you're
time.
spot
wasn't
on. So I think that makes it 6.
It's a win. It's a win.
Slap him.
6-1.
Slap
Let's
him
just
in
state that. Yeah, that's
So we've had how many? We have had 3, haven't we? Against
Yes.
each other. I'll beat you on the first one. You controversially won
I
the
beat
second
you on the
one.
second one.
I've,
My buzzer didn't work on
I've
the
got-
third
I've
one,
got-
so other than that, you know,
I've got-
So, okay,
yeah.
so I'll give you that point. So that's still 5-2.
I've got to say today, it could have been a different game
5-2.
if Lewis got that one.
It
Would have been the 1-0 advantage.
yeah.
I think you need that because you seem to be behind a lot. It's almost like you've been Man United in the first half.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. This time I just couldn't come back.
Right. Anyway, let's wrap it up. We've gone on. I've really enjoyed today's episode. As ever, apologies for the lack of camera. I can assure you next week we will try our best to get one in. But it has been nice to put together an overview of positivity in this year's Premier League, and obviously such a negative COVID and European
Arsenal.
Super League tarnished season, Arsenal season as well.
Arsenal tarnished
Yeah.
season.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. Obviously, Matt, it's been a pleasure again, mate.
Yep, been really enjoyable today. We've had a good laugh as well.
Yeah. Well, exactly. If we
And it's
can,
been nice to watch the entertainers as well at the same time.
well, 4-3. I don't think we could have asked much better for a game to watch while we're doing this. And Lewis, again, mate, it's been really good to have you on.
Yeah, it's been very good, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with again for next week.
Yes, hopefully I can bring you some more creative buzzers as well. Right, excellent. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much for listening, and keep talking football.